Hello, everyone, and welcome to another elite episode of the Get Authentic with Marcus show. I'm your host, Marques Ogden. On today's episode, we are joined by Miss Houlie Duque. And you know what? Let's bring her on down. How you doing today, Houlie?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much for having me. This is very exciting.
I'm my pleasure, young lady. Thank you for joining us. First question, Huli. What does the word authentic slash authenticity mean to you?
I think more than diving into a definition, it's important to talk about how important authenticity is in today's time. I think that people as a collective are starting to wake up to the incredible taxing effort that it is to not be authentic. And I think there's a lot of forces in this world that push us away from that. So it's almost like that's why I said the word awakening. Like a lot of people are awakening to the incredible need and the relevance of being authentic in life, because I think once you become authentic, that's when you can truly share your gifts with the world. And so it's really like the starting point for a better life for everyone, like not just on a personal level, but also on a collective level. Like the more authentic people we have in the world, the better quality of a world that we can build together.
You know, Huli, I love that response, especially around the awakening piece, because when you're authentic, right, Huli, and you're tired of trying to be what everybody else wants you to be, I feel you do get awoken and you do awake from trying to be like everybody else. It's kind of like the Walking Dead. People, everybody's dead around you, walking around, zombies, stuff like that. When you
Yeah.
actually wake up and say, I'm not going to be a zombie anymore. I'm not going to follow what everybody wants me to do anymore. I'm going to be my own person. I'm going to be my own Marcus. I'm going to be my own Huli. That's when life gets truly fulfilling because at that moment, right, Huli, you are releasing the chains, quote unquote, that are put around you because you're tired of trying to live life for everybody else. You start living life for yourself. So it's fantastic. So Huli, tell us a bit more about yourself, your backstory, and the work you're doing currently now.
Yes, definitely. Right now, I think the best way to summarize it is I am the CEO and founder of an organization called Homeschool to Go Genius Lab. And so what we do is we guide, support, and help. Really, we become the right hand of parents who want a better education for their children. So on the topic of authenticity, I think the school system, the traditional school system, is one of those worlds that kind of program and train us into this collective thinking away for individuality, away from authenticity, because it's so standardized, right? Like there's all these goals that we have to check off in order to pass on to the next grade level or pass on to the stage of college. And so in trying to achieve those good grades and trying to achieve the recognition and the praise or the rewards that come with that system, there's a lot of silencing authenticity. And so a lot of what I do is building programs so that each child is learning how to develop their own unique talents and genius areas so that they can learn how, while being authentic, they can translate that into value that they can offer the world as they develop older and develop their talents further. So the you were saying, you asked me about the backstory. So how this all started was because I used to be a teacher, not for the public school system, but for prestigious private institutions where parents pay up to $25,000 to send their kids to for the year to send their kids to these institutions. And so I was in a system already where the structure of it was to help the children get ahead from the traditional. But what I found was that even with all the best high quality resources, I was doing my best work and putting my best efforts forward to be able to give a, a high quality experience to each of these children, but it became very clear to me that in a setting where you have one teacher and 30 students at the same time is very difficult to do it, especially when the parents are not involved. So what I saw was that when, like, it was like in every class that I taught, and I taught all of the grades, like all the way from kindergarten to grade 12, the the common denominator for the children who were outstanding and that were at the top of the class was never that they were smart, that they had more resources. It was always that whether the parents cared and were involved in their education or not. And so it was at that time when I decided that when I became a parent, I would homeschool my kids. And then when that did happen, I had my own child. I started developing this program, and it was right during COVID. So it was around a time where a lot of parents had to be forced into homeschooling, and where homeschooling began to take force. Like, you see, homeschooling is a lot more common nowadays. And so I connected with so many families that wanted the support and the resources and the approach that I was able to provide through my organization. And that's how this all happened.
You know, it's very interesting. You talk about how the children who would do the best were the children whose parents were involved and very much making sure they were getting their education. And I remember that from growing up myself. My brother and I, we had a single parent household. We were raised by a single dad, and our dad and our maternal grandmother, who were very important in our lives, were very big on education. My dad was involved in my school and my schooling. My grandmother was absolutely involved. She was a teacher herself, so she understood the importance of education. And I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, Huli makes a fantastic point. When the parents are involved and are very much making sure that their children are doing great stuff in school, the child usually does so much better. So I can clearly understand that point. Huli?
Yes, I think it has more to do, like, it's less like when we talk about involvement, parent involvement, it's
Mhm.
less about the pressure that you can put on your child to perform on a certain level. And it's more about the child realizing that they matter. Like, if my parent
Mhm.
so involved and care so much about how I do, must mean that this, like, I matter to them. And when the children come to realize that they have parent figures that care about them, makes them care about themselves more too and care about the work that they do. And so, as long as there's an emphasis on progress rather than performance, I think that is really the key for seeing a child overcome them their challenges and themselves and become better and better with each phase of growth or phase of development in their journey of learning.
You know, Huli, that's a fantastic point that I never really thought about. And I can definitely say from my father and grandmother, that is what they did because it was always about just do your best and continue to move forward. But again, they always stress that, Marcus, we just care about you being the best that you can be and letting you know that. So when you said that, I never thought about it, but it makes complete sense because if a child feels the parent is involved and just wants to see them do well overall, just because they care and want to see them just do better in life, the child is going to naturally feel more important, more value, and want to do better just on their own because they feel they do matter. And it's interesting, right? It's interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine who's going through a hard time in his marriage, but he said, Marcus, all I really want, he said, because I checked on him a couple of days ago, he said, Marcus, thank you for checking on me because all I want is to know that I matter. That's all he said to me. And that was big. And that's exactly what you're saying from the child's perspective. And I absolutely love that. I love it.
Yes, and you know what, the thing with, like, going back to the topic of the word authenticity, I just think it's one of the most important things in this time right here, is that we learn how to be authentic and we learn how to tap into our true selves. I think that when we send kids to regular school, and this is going to sound a little bit critical of school, but I'm not really coming from that place. So when you send a child to school and they are interacting with other children and other people for the majority of their day, um they have, like all humans, we all have this need for belonging. It's like what your friend was
Mhm.
alluding to, called him. We all have a need for belonging. It's a part of our survival because early on we learned that we must be in community in order to survive. So when we send a child that is so young to school and all of a sudden their community is no longer their family who will accept them exactly as they are, but is all of a sudden a group of kids that are the same age and none of them is trained to be a guide, for them. They're just kind of there by
Hmm.
condition, right? And so they learn to do whatever will help them fit in. So they learn that in order to fit in, a lot of the times they have to silence their own authenticity. And that over time, it's proven by studies, results in more social anxiety, less tolerance to people who are different, a lot of collective thinking. Whereas, like, when you look at the homeschool children, they have that support at home because your parents are not going to judge you the same way another 5-year old or another 6-year old is going to judge you. Because you don't like playing soccer, then you are not fun. And then all of a sudden, this child no longer has to do the things that they don't want to do in order to fit in, to feel belonging, so they can focus on doing the things that they love, the things that they can stand out in the world for, and continue to feel that need being fulfilled. And so when you look, a lot of people say, oh, like if you homeschool your children, how are they going to be social? And it's actually the opposite effect. um, there's I think it's about 83% of peer reviewed studies comparing homeschool children to institutionalized children. The children who are homeschooled score significantly higher on social measures like leadership, like peer interaction, like community involvement. So it's really in the freedom to be yourself that you can best connect with others. And it has a lot to do with the support that you have in your circle early on.
You know, this is great, Huli, because this leads me to my next question. How does being authentic allow you to excel in the career path that you have now chosen to embark upon?
I think it has everything to do with it. Like I was explaining before, when I was a teacher, I felt for so long that that's what I wanted to do because it came so naturally to me. Like I liked connecting with children. I liked helping others see their own talents and work hard to develop them further. But in that experience of being a teacher for 10 years, I felt completely exhausted all the time. And I felt like I wasn't making the progress or the impact to the extent where I wanted it to be. Didn't feel authentic. It felt like there was this framework that I was supposed to follow that felt outside of what I saw as the truth. For me, the truth was each one of these children needs more attention, needs more freedom to explore what they like, what they're good at, where their genius areas are. And so that's that's the experience that led me to step out of the traditional system and build something different. And of course, it's scary every time that you're trying to do something that doesn't go with the way you're supposed to do things. But I think over time, seeing more people liberate themselves, like when I meet parents who are looking for support in their homeschool journey, and I come in, and the first thing that we do is we do a multiple intelligence assessment on their children. So this is a psychological assessment that allows us to see from from the honest answers of the children where the genius areas are in these children. And then based on that, we'll build projects, curriculum, resources that fits into the family rhythm of the family. So if it's a family that can only invest about 5 hours a week or 2 hours a week on the schooling, we build it so that those 2 hours are enough for that child to continue to make to continue to make that progress and to learn experientially in their day-to-day life, and get to where they need to be to get the certifications that, we're so programmed to seek after. And so I think the authenticity has everything to do with it, because I was in a system that was very well established. Cambridge schools, Montessori schools, this is like, they're known as very prestigious form of education, and it just didn't feel authentic in the core of my being, and so I had to do something else. And now I get to be a big support in the journey of so many families that are trying to raise their children with this approach. And I find that's been, I would say, the biggest blessing other than becoming a mother in my life.
Yeah, I love that. I'm a father, so I've got a 22-year-old and I have an 11-year-old daughter, so I'm very much in the same boat with you. And so, Huli, lots of great information, especially on like the assessment and then customizing things for whatever the parents can do to help the child as you keep talking about like, progress and keep making progress in their journey. And I love that. And what I hope people are gaining from this great interview is there's so many different ways to achieve what you're looking for in life, right? Education is absolutely important. It is number one, in my opinion. But again, what I love about Huli is a different perspective on how you can pursue and get your education through her programming, what she does, how she does it. And again, it's a very authentic, I feel, way because she puts a lot of time, energy, and effort into it. So, Huli, here's my next question. What makes you and your program, your organization different? Because again, I love people who are innovative and are very cutting edge. Because again, if we just keep following the leader all the time, I feel we're going to never ever truly, as a society, get and or grow where we're supposed to get and or grow to.
Yes, I agree. I think what makes us different is, well, I would say maybe it's maybe four bullet points, not just
Mhm.
like one thing. The one that stands out the most is that we're the only fully bilingual program in the whole world. So all the subjects in English and all the subjects in Spanish. I wasn't aware that it doesn't exist other than us, but it is true, and it has been so for so many years. And then the second thing is we have a project-based approach. So when I was diving into the dynamics of what's the most efficient and effective type of learning, there's so many studies that prove experiential learning or hands-on learning has 60% more retention than academic and textbook learning. And like when a child or a human, a being, like in general, I would say not a being but a human, can can have a purpose to their learning. They can understand how what they're doing today, whether is a project or a worksheet, when they can understand what the purpose of that learning is, it's connected to an outcome, then they can truly put effort and retain the information and the experience that they're gaining from that. It's why there's a little bit of a problem with traditional school learning, where you're doing books of math exercises, but you have no idea how those math exercises apply in real life. So, for example, we have students in high school that instead of learning trigonometry, because they're not necessarily pursuing a career in engineering, they're learning financial literacy, they're learning compound interest, they're learning um, like entrepreneurship and how to create a financial projection, how to create a business model. And so all these things that are under the category of project-based learning, or and it's not separated by subjects, because in life when you have to show the skills that you have, it's never like, okay, you're going to go into the world of math, so shut down everything else and show us what you know for math, and that's what solves the problem. It's never that way. Problems come in a bundle, and usually they can translate more directly into a project or something that you have to um, solve in order to get to the solution of your life. So project-based education. And then another thing that differentiates us is that we personalize it to each child. There's no other institution out there in the world that will build a specific curriculum built for that child. Like, so our starting point is the multiple intelligence test, like I was saying. We also look at the personality type of the student is something that they used in Waldorf education. Like they have it in yellow, green, blue, or red. So different students respond to different approaches when you're trying to teach them. And then there's also the dominant learning style. So there's ways that children can and people in general can grasp a concept faster if it comes through in their dominant learning style. And the last one would be the support that we offer, because we don't just give our families the curriculum, roll with it, and figure it out. We assign a teacher to each one of our students, and the teachers checking in with them weekly and doing meetings with all of their group of students like once a month, one in Spanish and one in English. So it's twice a month where all the students from all over the world, they come together, they show each other their projects. So it's not just the support, but it's also that community that comes with their education. And I think those four elements is really what differentiates us right now in the world.
I love this. I love it. Huli, what a fantastic interview. Love your insight on being innovative. Really love how you said it's all about progress over performance. Because I always tell people focus on the output, not the outcome. Focus on doing what's necessary, putting the effort, the energy, the consistency, just on doing the best that you can, and don't and let the outcome take care of itself. In the same frame about, focus on progress, just trying to get better every day versus performance, trying to be the best at everything all the time. Again, especially with the young people, I feel it's a great lesson. And if you can encourage them to pick that up now, as they get older, it gets a lot easier. And I feel the pressures that a lot of people have to deal with hopefully won't be as hard on them as they start to learn this from a very young age. So, Huli, thank you so much for joining us. How can our global audience get in touch with you?
You can find me if so. I do have, I forgot to mention this before, but I have a gift for your audience. If there's anybody out there listening who is considering homeschool but feels like it's too much of an overwhelming task, or you don't know even where to start, I've from talking to thousands of homeschool parents over the last 5 years, I've gathered all those main questions that people have, and I put it into a class to answer the questions and showing the next steps. Everything from how to create your family rhythm to the socialization to the studies that show how homeschooling can truly be beneficial to a child to how to get certified under your authority. If you go to www.homeschooltogo.org, you'll find my website, and on the first screen right there, there's going to be a big button that says the Homeschool to Go free masterclass. That's free, and so you can go on there and you can watch that. That will answer most of your questions. If you have any questions that are more specific to your personal position, there's an opportunity there, so you can book a meeting with me and we can talk further about it. So that's where they can find me. But you can also find me on social media as well through my name, just Houlie Duque. And if you go homeschool.togo, so homeschool to go with a dot between homeschool and to go, you can find us as well, and we'll be happy to serve you in however way you find you need in the moment.
Love it. Everybody, please go and support Huli and check her out. And again, the authentic tip of this great interview in life, don't be afraid to be innovative and to do things differently and do things on a cutting edge or from a cutting edge perspective. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being innovative and trying things new and being different and being unique. Again, my name is Marques Ogden. I am the host of the Get Authentic with Marques show. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic day.
Recording stopped.
Huli, you were great. You're going to get an email from Abby.